What's going on, everybody? My name's Jordan Fowler, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the Atomos Ninja V external recorder and a few things that you might need to know before you go out and buy one. So let's get into it. So we're not going to get too technical in this video about the ins and outs and all the technical spec of the Atomos Ninja V. We will cover that in a later video and the best setup for it. This is more just a few overall things to consider to see if it's right for you or not. Now, the Atomos Ninja V is actually an external recorder as well as an external monitor. Now, if all you're looking for is just an external monitor, then I probably actually wouldn't recommend this one, and I'd probably go with something like the small HD monitors, because they're going to be a lot less confusing and much more user-friendly interface, and they are just external monitors, not external recorders. Now, another big thing to consider right at the start is if you don't want to be color grading your footage at all, then this definitely isn't for you, because the footage you're going to get out of the Atomos is going to be extremely flat at first, and you're then going to have to spend some time color grading in post-production to get it to look exactly how you want. Now, as I said, the Atomos is an external recorder, not just an external monitor. So what that basically means is that when you pair it with a camera like the Nikon Z6, like I'm using here, or the Panasonic GH5, or the Canon EOS R, you're going to be able to record in basically 4K 10-bit 422 in ProRes HQ or ProRes Raw, depending on what camera you're using. Now, I said I'm not going to get too technical in this video, but I will just do a very quick breakdown of what that actually means in case you're wondering. So 4K obviously is your resolution. Everybody knows that. So then 10-bit is basically the bit depth and the range of colors that you get. So most standard DSLRs, they shoot in what's known as 8-bit, or also known as RGB. Now, this has been standard across DSLRs for years, and what you basically get with 8-bit is you get 16.7 million different colors in your display, which sounds like a lot of colors. But when you compare that to what you get with 10-bit, and you get 1.07 billion colors in your display, the difference is massive, and the amount of accuracy within those colors is a lot better, which gives you a much cleaner and more realistic image. So then the next thing is being able to shoot in ProRes HQ or ProRes Raw. And whether you can shoot in HQ or Raw depends on what camera you have. With the Nikon Z6, you can actually shoot in ProRes Raw, which is insane. So basically what that means, ProRes is a compression codec, which was developed by Apple. Now, the most standard compression codec used is H.264, also known as MPEG, which everyone is used to and has been standard for years now. Essentially what ProRes means is that you're retaining a lot more image quality, a lot higher image quality, and there's a lot more data and information stored per frame of video. So ProRes as a compression codec basically compresses those massive file sizes down to a much more manageable file size, which will allow you to actually edit it better in post-production. But while doing that, it doesn't actually lose any of that image quality. So that's why ProRes is used. Now, ProRes Raw, what that is you get all the capabilities and all the features of having ProRes footage, but now you can edit and color grade with all the raw data, which gives you such a massive range of colors. Now, we could go into tons more detail, obviously, about bit depth of colors and codec compression, but that is not for this video, so let's get back to the Atomos Ninja V. So in addition to obviously being an external recorder, it is also a 4K external monitor, which allows you to view your footage in real time in 4K resolution. And you can also actually apply your color grade to your Atomos, so you can see how the finished footage is going to turn out. Now, that color grade that you applied to the Atomos is not going to be baked into your footage. So when you get it back to your computer, it's not going to be in that color grade. It's going to be in a very flat format, which you would then have to apply that color grade to. But the beauty of that is you can actually see how your footage is going to look and how it's going to be colored before you've even got it back to the computer. So that leads us on to the actual kit of the Atomos Ninja V and all the accessories that you're going to need, because unfortunately the Atomos Ninja V, when you buy it, doesn't come with half the stuff you need to even get it going straight away. All it comes with is a wall-mounted power pack. Now, obviously, unless you want to be plugged into the wall all the time, then you are going to need some batteries. The Ninja V takes Sony NP-F970 batteries, or anything from that range. I think there's a few, I think you can get 950s. Basically, these are big batteries. They are pretty hefty, and they do take a long time to charge. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that the Ninja V will actually burn through batteries incredibly quickly, so one battery will not be enough. If you're on a day of shooting, you can very easily burn through 3, if not 4 batteries. So make sure you definitely have a couple backups. So the next thing is getting it talking to your camera. So you're going to need an HDMI lead to connect it from your camera to the Atomos. Now, depending on what camera you have, depends on what size HDMI lead you need. On the Nikon Z6, like mine, it is a mini HDMI. So you need a mini HDMI lead to a normal HDMI, and I would definitely recommend a coiled lead so you don't have a load of excess cable going around all over the camera getting in your way. So obviously this being an external recorder means that you're recording all your footage to the Atomos itself, not to the camera at all. So you're going to need some format of storage. And because the file size is so large, you're going to need quite a bit of storage. Now, the SSD card that Atomos actually recommend you put with the Ninja V is called an Angelbird Atom X. Now, this is an Atomos product, and it is actually the only SSD card that physically won't overhang the edge of the monitor, because they're quite a bit smaller than normal SSDs. Now, the obvious downside to this is that Atomos charge you a ridiculous amount of money for this SSD card, and I think for a 1 TB card it's around £400, and you're going to need more than 1 TB card because you're going to get through that pretty quickly. However, on the flip side, other manufacturers' SSD cards will actually fit in your Ninja V. I use SanDisk Ultras, I know a lot of people use Kingstons. It's just worth noting that they will actually physically overhang out the end of your Ninja V, but it doesn't really cause any issues. It's not in the way or anything, it's just one of those things. Now, like I said, I use SanDisk, so currently in there now is a 1 TB SanDisk Ultra SSD card. Now, 1 TB I find is not enough. So I have a couple of these that I swap out when they get full, but I would definitely recommend 1 TB as the bare minimum to what you buy. 500 GB you are going to be filling up very, very quickly. So I would recommend 1 TB at least. To go along with your SSD card as well, you're going to need an SSD to a USB adapter, so you can actually plug your SSD card into your computer and get the footage off of it. Another thing you are going to need, which could quite easily get overlooked, is some sort of a mount. Now, the Ninja V doesn't come with any kind of mounts, it just has a thread for a tripod, so you are going to need some kind of conversion to link that over to your hot shoe on your camera or your camera rig. Now, I use a mount from SMALLRIG. These are quite inexpensive, but it's just another thing that you need, otherwise you're not going to be able to mount it on the top of your camera. Another thing to consider is audio. Now, at the minute, if you're just recording audio through in-camera, then you're not going to be able to do that anymore, because obviously it's recording straight to the Ninja V, there's not going to be any audio. So if you want to be recording audio, then you need to be using external microphones, something like the Rode VideoMic Pro, and you need to make sure that you plug that into the Atomos and not into your camera, otherwise it still won't pick anything up. Now, because you need to have all these accessories to get your setup working, it is quite a lot of hidden cost there when you look at just the cost of the actual Atomos itself. So it's definitely worth bearing in mind that you have to get all these other things and weighing up the price of SSDs and multiple batteries, because by the time you get all that, you can be adding quite a bit to the price of just the initial screen for it. Now that leads us on to our next point, which is about storage and your PC. Now, when you're shooting in ProRes, whether that's ProRes HQ or ProRes Raw, the file size is absolutely colossal. Because the nature of what you're recording contains so much more information and data and bit depth, as a result, the file size is just massive. So especially if you're used to like H.264, MPEG and codecs like that, the file size is going to be massive. So you need to make sure that you have ample amount of storage on your PC, otherwise you're going to be running out very, very quickly. I'm not going to go into too much detail about comparisons of actual file size for this video, but just so you have some idea, I shot a 30-second sequence out of my window with the Z6, one on H.264 and one in ProRes Raw, just so you have an idea of the difference in file size. So the H.264 30 seconds was around 100 megabytes, which is kind of standard in what you'd expect. But that exact same sequence in ProRes Raw was about 2.5 gigabytes. So you can see how quickly you're going to mount up footage. Now, this is not a straight conversion that 100 megabytes converts to 2.5 gigabytes or anything like that, because it actually depends on the scene of what you're shooting. It depends on the amount of colors and the amount of dynamic range in that shot and movement in that shot as to how big that file size would be. It's just worth noting that if you haven't shot in ProRes before, the file sizes are going to be a lot bigger no matter what you're shooting. So it's just making sure that your PC can actually handle that and that your editing software can handle that. Because if your PC can't handle it or you don't have the storage for it, you are going to have to upgrade your PC or laptop, and you're going to have to buy more external hard drives to store all that footage on. So there is even more hidden costs. So it's just worth making sure in advance that your PC is actually going to be able to cope with that kind of footage. So the pros and cons of using an Atomos Ninja V external recorder. Now, depending on what camera you're using, this is going to be an absolutely massive upgrade in terms of image quality and color depth, especially for cameras like the Canon EOS R, the Nikon Z6, the Panasonic GH5. These cameras all get a massive upgrade in image quality by using the Atomos Ninja V, but it's just worth noting that there is all those other things that go with it. It's not just clipping on the Atomos and away you go, better image quality. There is other things to consider. Now, if you've been used to shooting perhaps on a Sony and you transcode all of your footage into ProRes, now with the Atomos you will actually be able to just shoot ProRes directly, so that will save you a ton of time when you get back into post-production editing. Now, I personally would say that recording directly to an SSD card is a pro rather than a con. Other people may disagree. I'd much rather shoot to one of those. It's more reliable, plus you can have a lot more storage. Even though the file sizes are bigger, you can get 2, 3, 4 terabyte cards and you can have multiple of those instead of having loads of little SD cards. Now that leads us on to cons of the Atomos Ninja V. Now, it is another piece of kit you're gonna have to buy. It's another piece of kit you've got to carry. And it does come at a reasonable price tag. Another kind of con is that the Atomos actually runs on additional batteries, obviously. So it's another load of batteries you have to make sure are charged, and it burns through a lot of these batteries and they do take a long time to charge. So making sure that you have them all charged the day before, and you're going to need sort of 2, 3, 4 of them depending on how long you're shooting for. After considering everything, if you think that the Atomos Ninja V is for you and you're willing to spend the money to get it and all the accessories, then it is a great bit of kit to have in your arsenal. And once you start using it for recording, you probably will find it difficult to ever go back because of the boost in image quality. It is an amazing bit of kit, but there is a lot of pros and cons that you need to consider before you go out and buy one. So that is it for this video on the Atomos Ninja V. I hope you enjoyed it. I will do some more videos on the Ninja V and the setup and how I use it and how to get the best out of it. But for now, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and once you've done all that, I will see you in the next video.